Good morning, students. Today we are back with the same grammar chapter, adjectives, order and position. Well, we'll do a recap as well as we will do something new, as I told you to read page number 16, in which there is something new about the chapter. So before we go into that, we also need to recap whatever we have learned in this chapter so far. So we started this chapter with the first topic. It was order of adjectives, where I told you when we put two or more adjectives, there are certain rules that were supposed to be followed or that are supposed to be followed. So sometimes we use two or more adjectives to describe a noun. So what did we learn about adjectives? For adjectives we learned that it modifies or describes a noun. Now later in this chapter, in chapter number 3, we learned that sometimes we use two or we use more than two adjectives, or else we can also use one adjective. But the moment we start using two or more adjectives to describe a noun, we have to follow a certain pattern. If you remember, I gave you a web named as OSAS.com, in which there were different headings, right? So I gave you this and I told you to make it in your copy, in your notebook. So we learnt about this in step 1. In step 2, I described OSAS.com to you, in which O stands for opinion, S stands for size, A stands for age, S stands for shape, C stands for color, O stands for origin, M stands for material, and P for purpose. As you can see, I have given you a few examples, so you need to remember these examples so that you are not confused when you get more than two adjectives in a sentence, right? So this was our learning that had happened. Based on that, you have done two exercises, right? And I also told you that these type of words like OSAS.com are known as mnemonics. Mnemonics are what? Mnemonics are words, the brief words in which there are many other meanings, alright, or it is the contracted form of a few words together, like how you have seen OSAS.com and the full form of OSAS.com, and under each heading there are various words or groups, you can say. Then after that, we are to the end of the chapter named as adjectives, order and position. Here in this we are going to learn about comma between adjectives. Now when we put more than one adjective, we are supposed to put a comma, or we are supposed to add a preposition. So we will learn how to do that and where to do that. So you can see there are three ways in which we are supposed to put a comma or we are supposed to add a preposition. Let's see what is there in number 1. When there are two or more adjectives from the same group, the conjunction and is used between the adjectives. Now same group, like say suppose it is talking about the group called size. So tall and say for example the other one is short, right? So when it is talking about the same group of adjectives, at that time what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to add and in between those two adjectives. We will witness a few examples. Let's see what is there in the example. Here it says that the short and plump man is the owner of the dog. So short and plump, these comes under the category of size. Short and plump marks the size of the man. So the sentence has two adjectives and two from the same group. Group is size. So whenever we have it from the same group, we put and in between this and. We will see one more. The other one is the warm and cozy blanket is a gift from my aunt. As you can see over here, the warm and cozy blanket is a gift. Now warm and cozy, these are the words which comes under the heading of opinion. Warm and cozy comes under the heading of opinion. So since they are from the same group, that's why add and in between, or and is added in between. So when we have such adjectives, you can, or you have to put and, otherwise it will sound very awkward. For example, if I say the warm cozy blanket is a gift from my aunt, this will not sound correct. So you have to add the preposition and in between the adjectives which belong from the same group. What are the groups? If you remember OSASCOM, you will be able to identify the groups as per OSASCOM: opinion, size, shape, all those. You will be able to identify the groups, right? So this was number 1. Then we will go into number 2. When 3 or more adjectives from the same group are used to describe a noun. Remember, in the last case, that means in number 1 also we studied the same thing, same group. Over here also it is saying the same group. You can see same group, but it is saying 3 or more. If there are 3 or more than that from the same group are used to describe a noun, separate the adjective using a comma. So here we will have to use a comma, not only comma, and use and. What we need to use? We need to use and before the last adjective. So here rule number 1 also follows, right? So what we learnt over here, we are learning that when there are 3 or more adjectives from the same group, group means again that same thing, OSASCOM, right? So when they are from the same group, what we need to do, we have to separate each adjective with a comma, and before the last one, what we have to put? We have to put and. In these cases, you can change the order of the adjective. You can also change the order of the adjective. It will not matter much, right? Now, with the examples, we will see how it can be done. Here, I did not enjoy the stupid, crazy and dumb acts of the clown. So, stupid, crazy and dumb, these are all opinion, right? Comes from the same category. So stupid, see, comma, and then crazy. After crazy and, because dumb is the last adjective that is added in the sentence, right? So when there are 3 or more adjectives, you are supposed to separate with comma, and you are supposed to put and before the last adjective. We'll see the second sentence. I did not enjoy the crazy, dumb and stupid acts of the clown. The rule remains same. Again, you see it is been separated by comma and ended with and. Before the end, we have put and. Now you see what is done over here, the sequence. In the first case, stupid, crazy and dumb. In the second case, you see crazy, dumb and stupid. So even if you change the sequence, no problem in that. Still your sentence will be correct, but you have to follow the comma and. Don't forget to put this when there are 3 or more than 3 adjectives. See, we have another example. My green, red, yellow and blue kite was blown away by wind. So over here you can see all these adjectives are being separated by comma, and before the last adjective I have put and. So this is how you have to do. In the second sentence, the sequence of the color might have changed. Let's see. My yellow, blue, green and red kite was blown away by wind. So you see the sequence has changed, but the meaning has not changed. So when it belongs from the same group, we can change the sequence, but remember to put comma and. Right? So this is how we follow the rules in the last. So this was the second rule where we put comma as well as we add and. Now the third rule. When adjective form different groups are used. Now remember, they are not from the same group. So far we have learnt about if they are from the same group, we are supposed to use and. If they are from the same group and the number is 3 or more, we are supposed to put comma as well as add and. But over here it is saying different groups. Different groups. That means they are not from the same group. Maybe there is something about the size and there is something about the shape. There is something about the age. There is something about the material. So these are different groups, not from the same group. What do we do then? We may not need to use a comma. So in those cases we are not supposed to use any comma. Why? Because they are from the different group and describing the noun. Let's see an example. The naughty little plum boy kept teasing the puppy. This is the right way of writing the sentence. What is the wrong way? The naughty little and plum boy kept teasing the puppy. So putting and, it makes it awkward. Okay, so we are not supposed to put and when it belongs from the different group. Naughty, over here naughty means opinion, from the group of opinion. Little is from the group of size. Plum is also from the group of size. So over here no need to put comma or no need to put and when these words or the adjectives, they belong from different groups. We do not put a comma or and, right? One more example. The great and Indian batsmen were awarded medals. So it's sounding off. I mean, it's not sounding good. So why it's not sounding good? Because and is put in the middle. So the great Indian batsmen were awarded medals is the correct form, right? Over here you see great Indian is describing the batsman, great is the opinion, Indian is the origin, right? So we no need to put a comma because they belong from the different group. Great in the category of opinion, Indian is the category of origin. So there no need to put a comma. So this is all about today. Once again, you need to see this video and especially topic number 3, because today we are going to do an exercise based on this, right? On page number 17 you will see there is one exercise. In that exercise you have to apply the rules that we have just learned, right? So as I told you that we are going to do exercise number D on page number 17. I'll just briefly tell you what you have to do and how you have to do. So your exercise number D would look like this. When you will open your book you will find this. See, I have done all for you, but what I would request is that you try it out yourself first and then match the answers. If there are any errors, do self correction, then only you are going to learn. Otherwise if you see and do, you will not learn anything, right? So exercise number D goes like this. Underline the adjectives that describes the sea creatures, then use commas between the adjectives wherever required. So as per rule number 1, 2 and 3 we have learned, we have to apply that rule, or whatever we have learned we have to apply that. So I'll read out sentence number 1. It says that sea manatees eat algae, weeds and water grasses. So in this sentence you can see there are two adjectives, one is sea and the other one is water. Now in chapter number 2 we have learned that what does adjective do? It describes the noun. So manatee is a kind of animal which is found in the sea, right? It looks the look of manatee is somewhat like walrus, right? So it is talking about manatees. So what kind of manatees? Sea manatees. So here sea is describing word, and next water grasses. You see, we see grass, but then there are grass which grows in the inside the water also. The water bed, it grows inside there also, right? So let us see it once again. Sea manatees eat algae, weeds and water grasses. So you see, algae, weeds and water, these are all origin, comes from the same group. That's why you see it is been separated by comma, and before the last adjective and is added. So this is what we have learned in rule number 2. Next, number 2, the white sharks generally prey on sea lions, seals, small toothed whales, sea turtles and carrions, right? Over here I have not put underline in one of the adjectives. You have to identify that which one, that is for you to do. Rest I will explain you this sentence. The white sharks, you see, again as I told you, you got to figure out the nouns first, and before the noun if there are any adjectives or there are any words which is actually describing that particular noun, that will be the adjective. So you see the third word, sharks, is a noun, and white is what? Describing the sharks. Generally prey on sea lions. So lions is the noun over here, and sea is telling that these lions are from the sea, the sea lions, right? Then seals, it's describing that small toothed. Then small toothed whales. So whales are being described as small toothed, right? And then sea turtles. Here is where the catch is. You have to put an underline somewhere here. Alright, and carry-ons. So these are all kinds of animals found in the sea, right? So they come from one origin. Over here the group origin is been discussed. So that is why you see sea lions, comma, seals, small toothed whales, comma, sea turtles, and carry-ons. So since they belong from the same group, rule number 2, you have to put comma and have to add and, right? Then we go on down to number 7. The endangered wetty green turtles come onto land to sunbathe, right? So over here you see endangered is an adjective, that is why it is underlined. Wetty is also an adjective. Green is also an adjective. Now endangered is what? Comes under the category of opinion, right? Then wetty also comes under the category of opinion, but green comes under the category of color, right? So in point number 3 or in rule number 3, what did we learn? We learned that when there are adjectives of different groups, there we do not need to put comma or add and to it. So that is why in sentence number 7 you see there is no comma or we have not put any and in it, right? So these are the 3 examples. What you can do is that you can see this and then try to do it yourself in the book with a pencil, and then come back to the video and see whether your work which you have done is correct or not. If it is not correct, no problem in that. See from here, try to understand and do the correction in your book, right? So this is for all today. Thank you and have a nice day.